The next article is a new high. ISRO should help everyone enjoy the fruits of its new science missions. In this article, the writer says that on January 6th, the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, sent commands to its Aditya L1 spacecraft, which was then guided into orbit around an initial point in space. The mission will study the Sun with 7 instruments: VC, SUIT, SOLEX, and HEL-1 OS, Aspects and Papa, and a set of dignitary magnetometers. The L1 Lagrange point is chosen because the gravitational influences of the two bodies do not cause a net tug towards each other. Aditya L1 complements India's history of observing the Sun, dating back to the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory. It follows the XPOSAT mission, launched on January 1st and 8 years after AstroSat, which reached several highs of its own. However, public perception is an important issue with such achievements. While Aditya L1 and AstroSat are big strides from India's point of view, they pale in comparison to the imaging capabilities of the James Webb Space Telescope. ISRO can expand its public outreach efforts by hosting open days focused on specific missions and commissioning science communication on new results at regular intervals. Everyone should be able to celebrate a new high, especially the people at large, so ISRO should consider including components on missions that feed public interest. All these efforts will require funds, but considering the love ISRO has received from the government of late, it may just be a matter of asking. The next article is Structured Negotiation as a Boost for Disability Rights. In this article, the writer says that structured negotiation is a collaborative and solution-driven dispute resolution technique that is increasingly being used as an alternative to litigation. It typically involves inviting defaulting service providers to the negotiation table and impressing upon them the benefits of complying with social welfare legislations. Structured negotiation has been most effective in settling disability rights cases in the United States, with Walmart, CVS, and Caremark convincing them to create accessible prescription bottles for blind or low vision customers. It has also driven institutional reform by facilitating strategies for creating more accessible voting machines and websites. The success of structured negotiation depends on the creation of a strong body of disabled-friendly legal precedents that create a robust foundation for the process. Once courts are able to create a blueprint for accessibility and compliance with the law in a given sector, structured negotiation emerges as a pathway for businesses to ensure their offerings are accessible without having to go through the rigmarole of litigation, and for users with disabilities to obtain a disabled-friendly offering without the cost and unpleasantness associated with litigation. India's flagship disability legislation, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, provides that any non-compliance with its provisions may be reported to the Chief Commissioner for People with Disabilities, CCPD. The CCPD then puts the defaulting service provider on notice and may either direct them to make their services accessible or impose penalties on them for non-compliance. The creation of a designated body for handling cases on disability rights has been a positive measure, but its actual impact on repairing accessibility barriers in the marketplace remains to be seen. For example, the CCPD recently directed Paytm, a digital payments application, to make its mobile applications accessible for persons with disabilities. However, in complying with the order, Paytm became more inaccessible, demonstrating that any attempt to make digital services accessible for persons with disabilities in real time requires constant vigilance and user inputs, which can validate the efficacy of solutions. Hello everyone, let's discuss today's The Hindu editorial page. The first article is Aviation Professionalism, which India must draw from. In this article, the writer says that Murphy's general law states that if there is a possibility of several things going wrong, the one that will cause the most damage will be the one to go wrong. The aviation accident on January 2, 2024, where a Japan Airlines JAL Airbus, a 350 aircraft collided with a Japanese Coast Guard Bombardier Dash 8 aircraft at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, while landing, in which all 379 passengers on the JAL plane escaped but with 5 fatalities on the smaller aircraft, is a perfect example of this. The aircraft manufacturer is required to demonstrate that an aircraft in maximum density configuration can be completely evacuated within 90 seconds using only half the total number of emergency exits. The world witnessed the highest quality of discipline and crew training, which saved 379 people in the fiery accident. It was an amazing display of orderly evacuation from the burning wreckage that the JAL cabin crew executed. All passengers followed the safety instructions and left the aircraft without carrying their handbags or crowding around after coming down the aircraft evacuation slides. Only 3 exits were available for evacuation. The cabin public address system was not working, and the crew used megaphone and voice announcements for the evacuation. Other incidents include the Air France flight AF358 on August 2, 2005, overshot the runway while landing in heavy rain and caught fire. All 309 passengers were evacuated safely, though 11 received injuries. Images of the evacuation showed several passengers leaving the burning aircraft with their hand luggage, thus delaying the evacuation. The aviation world should learn a lot from the absolutely high professional standards in JAL's training of its crew. Air passengers worldwide should also realize that pre-flight emergency procedure instructions should be followed seriously. Safety concerns and training flaws are another issue that needs to be addressed. The Japanese authorities have already made the ATC transcripts public, which would have been several months of silence and secrecy in India. For example, the case of an extreme hard landing done by the crew of an Air India Airbus flight from Kochi to Dubai on December 20, 2023, revealed that the flight had made a sudden turn at an altitude of 9,000 feet instead of the normal 31,000 plus feet. The news surfaced only after a tracking site showed the aircraft flying to Mumbai on December 27 at an altitude of 9,000 feet. In conclusion, the aviation industry must prioritize safety and training in order to prevent accidents like the one that occurred on January 2, 2024. By implementing these measures, the aviation industry can ensure that all passengers, including those on the ground, are safe and well informed during their flight.